Liberals do have some of the key measures from their platform coming up fast, getting top priority, they say, cutting the lowest marginal income tax rate from 15 to 14%. For more on the debate ahead, we've got Liberal MP from Nova Scotia, Mike Kelloway, here in studio, as well as Conservative finance critic Jasraj Singh Hallan. Hello to both of you. It's very nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Great to be here.
Good to have you. Mr. Kelloway, I'm going to start with you. The Tories are asking your government to consider more tax cuts. Will you?
Well, first and foremost, I think what we're putting forward is a very tangible approach to cutting costs for families. The income tax cut is something that we've campaigned on. It's one that we're going to deliver on in due course very quickly. Prime Minister Carney has talked consistently about making changes that have direct and immediate impact. We're looking forward to that. I think that this government is going to look at all good ideas, as minority parties do and minority governments do, and we'll take those one by one and sit down and listen to anyone that has solid ideas to help make people afford to make ends meet.
So one of the tax cuts or removals of taxes that Mr. Poilievre highlighted today was one that his party pledged during the campaign, which would be to remove not just the consumer side of the carbon tax, but the industrial price on carbon as well. The argument that they put forth is that that cost is transferred down to everyday Canadians who end up paying more for a variety of things. Is that something under consideration?
Well, I would say that, you know, it was a big deal for us to actually make the decision to cut the consumer pricing, which was the important thing to do and the right thing to do. Now, what Prime Minister Carney has talked about, when we talk about energy and the end user, which is you, me, and everyone watching here from coast to coast, is quite frankly putting forward solid energy policies that will make, once again, meet emission targets while at the same time making life more affordable for Canadians. So again, I think we've taken a really strong step here, and I know there'll be more to come as the months ensue.
To be clear, though, Mr. Kelloway, does that mean that your party will not consider removing the industrial price on carbon?
I think that when it comes to the industrial price and carbon, it's an important factor, but Prime Minister Carney has said this time and time again, that he's very pragmatic when it comes to policies that are working or not working. And I trust Prime Minister Carney and the Cabinet in terms of the go forward on any one of those items.
Mr. Hallan, let me ask you straight up about the support or lack thereof for what the government is putting forward, right? I just asked Mr. Kelloway about things that they would consider, but what we do know is that the cut is from 15 to 14% for the lowest income tax bracket. I heard Mr. Poilievre today talk about tax cuts, but also wanting to see other changes. Can you be straight up with Canadians who are watching? Like, will that be something the Conservative Party votes in favor of?
Well, as our leader said today, we're in favor. We are the party of lowering taxes for Canadians. So, you know, what our leader did say today was that it doesn't go far enough, their tax cut. If you look at our platform, our tax cut actually doubles the amount that Canadian families save in a yearly basis compared to what the Liberals' plan is. But I just wanted to highlight also other things that Conservatives had in the pipeline, literally in the pipeline, to help out Canadians in the affordability crisis that we're under after 10 years of the Liberals. It's if we get rid of the industrial carbon price, what that also does is makes Canada more competitive. We've seen after 10 years, billions and billions of Canadian investment flee to the U.S., where it's easier to get things in, like infrastructure built. Not once in this throne speech did we hear anything about pipelines, about oil and gas, about removing the job-killing Bill C-69, the tanker ban Bill C-48, or even the industrial carbon tax to get Canada more competitive than it is right now. These are the things that would not only help lower costs for Canadians today, but help Canada itself unleash our economy, get better paychecks for Canadians, and help the lower cost of living.
So let me pick up on the last point you made there around the industrial carbon tax, because that's what I asked your colleague about, pardon me. It's not nothing. It's worth, by 2030, 30% of the emissions reductions that this country has targeted achieving. Is your party saying, let's just give up on those targets, or would you have something else supplanted? Because your platform, rather, did not outline anything.
Well, in fact, Vashi, if we get rid of some of these job-killing or industry-killing policies that the Liberals brought in over the last 10 years, as I've highlighted, of Bill C-69, Bill C-48, the industrial carbon tax, and the oil and gas cap that they brought in, we could actually do more. How we can do more is that it would be more competitive. We would have more people wanting to invest in Canada. We can produce more and sell more on our own. We've seen billions and billions of dollars of our own investment flee because investors are looking at Canada, and we're just not competitive anymore because of all of these barriers that the Liberals put up. I mean, we can produce stuff and get it to the West Coast, but they can't take it anywhere to off other markets because there's a tanker ban. We can't get critical infrastructure built in this country because of Bill C-69, which the courts also said was a big barrier in getting things built and was unconstitutional to some degree. We need to get rid of...
To be fair, only made a ruling on, the Supreme Court made a ruling on the constitutionality of some of the sort of federal-provincial division in there. It didn't reach a conclusion on the impact on ability to get things to Tidewater.
But the overall impact of these energy-killing bills is that it doesn't let us be competitive anymore. People are not, we can produce a lot more, we can get more mines built. And as an example, I talked to a mining company in BC. They said it takes maybe 18 years to get a mine approved. Canada right now, under the Liberals, we are second last in all of OECD when it comes to permitting. Our plan, as our Conservative plan, which we've said over and over again, the Liberals are more than welcome to steal all of our platform as much as they'd like to do, because what we would do is reduce the time of permitting. That would help get our projects going. Especially right now when we're in a trade war, when Canada is falling behind, these are the things that we could remove, these barriers, so that Canada can become more sovereign and an energy superpower once again.
Very quickly, I'm just going to point out my question was about the how you would displace the industrial policy as a climate portion of the climate plan, but I'll return to that in a second, because I want to bring in your colleague, Mr. Kelloway, for a moment. I think what Mr. Hallan does rightly point out is that we have had, and Mr. Carney pointed this out during the campaign as well, you know, kind of surmising on the record of the previous government, of which you were a part, there is a competitiveness issue, there is an investment issue in this country, and in particular, he's correlated increasing that with increasing personal wealth for Canadians, which he has conceded also has suffered under the previous government. He said he's going to change it, but how will your government do that? The how part appears to be missing right now.
Well, I will look at it. I mean, if you just look at competitiveness and affordability and put them in the hub of a wheel, that's kind of a focus in this example. The spokes are very much many things. Right now, we have the middle-class tax cut that you talked about at the opening of your show. We talk about removing the GST for first-time home buyers, and then reducing the barriers interprovincially to have one Canadian economy. Also, the ambitiousness that he's put forward is really, really important, because what we're looking at and what we're going to be doing over the next number of months is presenting approaches to diversify our economy, create more collaborations with other countries, redefining our relationship with the United States. I think one of the key things that I've heard in the last number of weeks, quite frankly, is around the Office of Major Projects, and the idea of nation-building projects that will be leaner in terms of process and getting projects that are initiated, but then get them into being active and over the next 2 years. That's ambitious. It's going to require a lot of heavy lifting from every member of Parliament on the government side. And it's great to hear that there'll be opportunities to work with the Conservatives and hopefully other parties to put programs in place that actually help Canadians on any given day.
Just one final follow-up before I move over to conclude with Mr. Hallan, and I'll pick up on the point you made around ambition. Sure. I'm not taking away from, I think, you know, I'm not taking away from, you know, putting forward an ambitious agenda, but ambition is not necessarily a plan. And when you talk, for example, about breaking down internal barriers, you are now introducing legislation that during the campaign, yes, your platform said would be introduced, but many times Mr. Carney, the Prime Minister, referenced it as actually happening, those barriers being removed by Canada. Now it's just legislation being introduced by them. It's the federal portion of them, not all the provincial barriers that are in place. Some have been removed, but there's no concrete commitment from every province to do so. What is the actual economic impact of what that legislation will achieve? Because I don't think it's close to $200 billion, which is the number your party and your government keep talking about.
Well, I will say this. I agree with you that if it's just ambition and nothing else, that would be problematic. But the fact of the matter is that, look, in the first week of being the Prime Minister of Canada, the Prime Minister met with the premiers of this country to discuss these very items. And it's not going to be just the federal government that will be on side when it comes to interprovincial barriers being broken and being torn down. It's going to require collaboration with each premier on any given topic as it relates to that economy. So this is I would look at this as a phased approach. You know, we've had the election of the Prime Minister, yes. We've had the speech from the throne that in general provides people direction of where we're going. And then in the fall, there will be a budget, a fall economic statement that will provide further gravity and foundation to what we're looking to achieve, which is to help everyday Canadians, yes, but also to reach that goal of being the most competitive country in the G7 when it comes to the economy.
Mr. Hallan, I'll give the final set of questions to you and sort of pick up on the point that your colleague is making around, in particular, collaboration with provinces. I understand your point about wanting to, for example, build out energy export capacity, but we have seen evidence through not just the last government, but the one prior, the Conservative government prior, that you can't just ram that stuff through, regardless of C-69, regardless of a whole host of things. Do you concede that there's going to have to be a lot more than what your party is suggesting needs to be done in order for that to actually happen?
Well, we had a plan for that in our platform during the election, and you know, when we talk about plans, let's remind, like, you know, when the election started, Mr. Carney said he was the man with the plan. A plan would have been a budget, and inside that budget, it could have had these kind of things in it. A spring budget was what Canadians are looking for when record number of Canadians are going to a food bank in a single month. Canada's economy is not doing well. In fact, some economists are saying we're heading into a recession right now. And we need to unleash some of that power, and that includes working with the provinces and getting rid of some of those anti-energy bills that I was talking about. And back to your point about what would it be replaced with when it comes to, you know, if we're talking about meeting emissions targets and other things like that. Well, if we can produce more here, get infrastructure built, whether that's tidal, whether that's hydro, everything that's low carbon. But it cannot be done if Bill C-69 is in place,
but
because
why?
infrastructure.
TMX got built with C-69.
That was an older bill, and it didn't have the carbon tax portion that was applied to it. But if you talk to, as I said before, if you talk to any industry, whether it's the steel, aluminum industry, whether you talk to anyone that's building big infrastructure, Bill C-69 is basically makes it impossible to build anything in Canada. A mine can take up to 18 years. 18 years. I don't know any investor that wants to invest for 18 years to get a maybe it'll pass. We need to bring more assurity back into our Canadian economy. Our plan was very clear. We will reduce the amount of permitting down to about 6 months to a year, and within that, all our regulations. In the courts,
right? That's part of
absolutely,
part of what
and we were willing.
And that's been a problem with the Conservative government prior to this last one.
And absolutely, we'd be willing to make sure that it's constitutional and works for everybody, while meeting our high standards and requirements that Canada already has. The main point is that if this government wants to actually be ambitious, it's time to get rid of some of those anti-energy laws. Mark Carney was asked repeatedly today from our side about Bill C-69, about pipelines. Again, we have seen no evidence from this government that they even have a plan. A budget would have been a plan, and inside that plan, just to even say oil and gas or get pipelines or other infrastructure, but we've seen no evidence of that.
I'm already out of time because I went over time, but I appreciate both of you making time for the discussion today. I'm sure we will reconvene, and there are many more of these to come. Thank you very much for it.
Thank you very much.
Mike Kelloway and Jasraj Singh Hallan.